here. I'm
Hold on 1 second. I did not, I failed to mention that I'm really proud of the teachers, students, and parents for what occurred on Friday. And, you know, we have plans in place, but no one ever plans for a bomb threat before school starts. No one prepares for a fire drill during lunch, doing transition. But I'm really proud of the people and how they all work together, as well as working with our police department. We had our after action review today, and it's very positive, and we talk about things we can do to improve. So again, safety of our students and our staff is number one, and we want to make sure that we're doing for this interest. So I'm very appreciative of people just doing what we need to do for our students. So thank you.
Let's take a minute. This is our mid-year report. We were the first of the schools to be able to report back in either August or September. I believe it was September. So we wanted to be able to know and come and report to you our progress on a couple of areas and a couple of things we're working on. We use the same picture we did at the beginning because we really believe we are the beginning school on that road to success for our district. And so our effort is to continue that climb on the road to success. And if you should have, I believe, you'll have a copy of the PowerPoint presentation too. If you go to the next page there, you'll see some numbers that we put together. Where are we now? We just finished our middle of the year NWEA math testing. One of the things that I always like to look at in the middle of the year is how we're doing and progressing as grade level, as teachers, and then individuals, how those individual students are progressing towards meeting their expected growth. That's our goal as a campus for the year, is that 90% of our students in math and reading will reach that 1 year's growth. Wherever they started from, we want to grow them at least 2 years' time. So this is a report on our MAP scores. Kindergarten there you see at 95.6%, 96% in math for our first graders, 93.9, and our second graders and our third graders are at 97.5. The second column is our reading results, and that is the grade level as a whole, what percent of expected growth we've achieved. So you see the highest there is third grade math there at 97.5% of expected growth. That means they're growing. We've grown them almost everything that's been expected for a half of a year in a half of a year. And so in reading, we have a little bit of work to do in our first grade reading. We knew that they came in a little bit low, but this just shows you that we track how we're doing middle of the year of getting our kids to that full year growth. Below that, we have a little note there on family dismissal station. In the fall, we had some superintendent symposiums. One of the things that I heard while I was there was our dismissal times and how some parents were having to go through more than once. And Dr. Hudson came to talk to me one day after we had read the Inside the Magic Kingdom book and gave me a suggestion, said, what could you do so that parents did not have to do that? And so we did a survey, and by the time we had finished at Christmas and dismissed, we had sent home a letter and asked for our families that were same guardian, same household, those that would like to come through. We had originally 25 families that sent back that they would like to be able to go through a family pickup spot where they didn't have to pick up the younger age groups and come back around and get in line again for the first, second, or third grade group. We had 25 to start with, so we started on January 14th. We had about 25. We're up to about 35 families now that are going through that new station. The result for us that was positive. It took us 3 people to man that station, but the positive were all of our other lines are now shorter, because instead of having to go through twice and those cars being there twice, Miss Rutledge is getting through about 5 or 10 minutes earlier.
3:42.
3:42 today. Instead of they were going till almost 4 o'clock in that first and second grade lane. So it's really helped everyone out and been one of those things when you look at it and see what we can do to respond to the needs of the campus. It really helped us as a whole also, and we've got some happy parents that are just going through the line once. So that's one of the things that we try to listen and see what is needed, and try to be a little innovative sometimes and come up with something new, thanks to the suggestion from Dr. Hudson. And the third area that we wanted to emphasize is our positive emphasis on right behavior. We continue to emphasize CHAMPS, and that is a system where we use across the district, across our district and on our campus, to be able to let students know what their expectations are conversationally level, how they get help, what the activity is, what their movement is supposed to be, and what they're supposed to be involved in at that time. So it kind of spells out. We also have started a Catch the Compliment. We've done kind of revamped it a little bit, and every week we're having teachers nominate for Student of the Week, and that's just to build some of those positives and point out our students that are doing what they ought to be doing. So where do we want to be? Of course, we all want to be where when we give that taper report, for us just beginning at 3rd grade, but we want our students to be on grade level. This is a report out of Smarty Ants. It is our kindergarten. I have given to you all a report that gives you kindergarten, or pre-K, kindergarten, 1st and 2nd grade in Smarty Ants. Just a little bit of an idea. The tall lines that are, if I can get this to point, at the beginning, the tall lines that have the numbers of them are where they were at the beginning of the year. Those are our students on the first time that they tested in Smarty Ants. And this is the kindergarten, and so you'll see that we actually had, from the chart over there, 29 students, or 20% of our students, who started at below kindergarten level when they started the first time in kindergarten. Of those, 22 of those students did not come to our pre-K, or were not there for the whole year. They were there for part of the year and then left, so they weren't there for the whole year. So of those 29, 22 were students that we didn't have the year before. But since then, all these small lines that you can see, and I hope you can look on yours, there are pink lines and blue lines on this one. That is showing you where they are as of about a week and a half ago. So all of those lines that are moving now from where those first ones were that are moving this way is showing our growth as each week I get a report on that, how our students are growing. And so that's what we want to be. We want to get all of our, that tall line, it's a dotted line right here at the end. It says end of kindergarten right here. That's where we'd like all of our kindergartners to be, at end of kindergarten, where they ought to be. Now if you look there, all those lines that are to the right of end of kindergarten are students who are already progressing to 1st grade reading skills in the Smarty Ants program. So we have now, instead of when we started the year, you saw there were a few that were in kindergarten, but we already have halfway through the year about 22 of our kids who are above grade level for end of the year. So our goal is to get all those kids to their goals. And when we look at individual goals on students like this, we get to see what their 1-year growth is and what their end of the grade level growth is. So these are great ways for us to be able to look at where students are, how they're progressing, and how much time it takes for them to be in those programs and for teachers to know what it is that they're struggling with. So how do we get there? I'm a person who loves to use data on our campus. And so I have printed there for a sample just out of a 2nd grade class. There just happened to be 3 students in a row from the beginning of the year map test to their middle of the year map test. And if you look at the particulars there, you're going to see one of those students grew more than expected, one of them grew 1 point less than expected, and one of them grew 4 points less than expected. It's a wonderful way to be able to look at each individual student. We have some that are growing faster than they expected. They were expected to grow on the first one by 8, and they grew by 16. They actually doubled their expected growth in that first half of the year. The second one was expected to grow 11, and they only grew 10. So that tells us that student is about on track, but may need a little bit of extra time or a little bit of extra attention. And then if you look at the last students there, they were supposed to grow 8, and they only grew 4. And so they did not grow as much as expected. That's our cue halfway through the year of a 2nd grade class that's going to need to be ready for those tests in the 3rd grade, that we can give them some extra attention. Some of the things that we're doing to be able to do that is to identify the students who are growing fast and slow, make sure that we have some extra instructional time. We have what we like to call sometimes a captive audience. We have a large number of students who get at school. About 5 buses arrive at 6:40 in the morning. Those kids are there from 6:40 until 7:30 when they're dismissed down to the rooms. Those kids are already on our campus. Great opportunity for some teachers to take them to the computer lab or to work with those students, especially as we've identified those that are growing slower than expected, to be able to work with them. Same in the afternoon, another good group of kids that are there for an extra 45 minutes to an hour that we can give some extra care and attention to. Of course, we continue to use the same thing that Parnell is using to be able to go through and talk to teachers and to help improve them on those teacher observation and feedbacks. And also we're using our opportunities in our PLCs to be able to improve our overall teaching plans, testing plans, lesson plans. And through those and through the use of data, we hope to get where we're going.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Any questions?
Mr. Dicker,
Yes.
and I'm loving to see all this progress with our academics. I'm one who is hearing a lot of negative things about discipline on the few campus. Can you tell us what's being done to maybe tackle some of those problems?
Yeah, we continue to do what the law allows us to do as far as discipline is concerned. And if you know, our campus is the only campus that does not have some of the possibilities that other campuses have.
Right.
Our options for discipline continue to be able to put them in the right choice room, which is ISS, or to use corporal punishment with the parents' permission. We do not have out of school as suspension as an option for our second grade and below. So we continue to work with those students. We thank you for being able to hire the CIS person, the Communities in Schools. She is on campus, is building that list to be able to talk with those students and encourage some of those students and work with their parents. And we also are looking into the possibility we'll be starting a behavior unit. Again, a behavior unit is those that are in the special education program that have some identified emotional problems, behavioral problems. And so we'll be able to hopefully get them into a small setting where they can get the help that they need.
Okay, so our communities and school people, they've not actually met with any of our students
Yes,
yet?
they are.
They have started?
Yes, and they also, of course, for them to be able to meet with those students, they have to, once she's come on board, has to get parent permission to be able to meet with those for that. So that's we have already received that, but that's still a growing list.
Okay. Thank you for the update.
Any other questions?
Thank you much, Mr. Richards.
Thank you.
Our last report will be our financial report. Ms. Horton?
In your board packet, you have all budget report. We collected over $5.5 million, which is roughly 52% of the revenues. Expenditures are $10.3 million, which is in excess of 5.3. And then in the general fund only, our revenue collected through January is $13.4 million, which is 56% of the budget. Our expenditures are $9 million, which is 30%.
Hold on. Can't hear over. Okay, go ahead.
The expenditures are 38%, giving us an excess of a little over, right at 4.4.
Okay.
Can I ask is, and Dr. Hudson, my concern is that, and thank y'all for sending this, but the drop in enrollment. I mean, we lost 37 kids since the Christmas break. And I know you had talked about, we lost 140,000 less on our state revenue, and that continuous drop, where that's gonna put us at on the budget side. Because our, if we're looking at it on our all fund, our general fund, we've already collected 41%, and if that continues to drop. And then is that, when I was looking back at the budget, the 2450, was that enrollment, or is that what we budgeted? Was that was the full budget on? I mean, we're at, right now, we're at 2378
That's enrollment.
enrollment, and then if we take the 94% that we, 94, 96. We budgeted 94, hopefully. So what do you think, where are we
Today
gonna,
we were
yeah?
less than 93, so.
Because I mean, I know we're still 4.3 million to the good, but we got 800,000 of that, if we put it there, so that, which that gonna put us at 3.5, which puts us under where we were at last year. And last year we put 900,000 in fund balance, so that puts us at 3, so that's gonna put us about 300,000. So where that loss of revenue, where that gonna put us at?
We're gonna check it after each 6 weeks, but until we get the data. We can't run
Because I was just kind of looking at the average expenses and our average revenue, it looked like we were gonna be, that's where I got my 2.2 at, we were there, so. But if we're under where we were at last year, 300, we already lost that 140, that's 500,000 that we're gonna be down, and with a drop in enrollment, we're even gonna be less. So close, since we put 900, probably 200,000, 150. Good
It's
guess.
gonna depend on how much we spend.
If I remember correctly,
You know.
Ms. Gordon and Dr. Rustin, it might have been you, this was something that we were basically looking at happening just with Hurricane Harvey, kids moving back, that type of thing, correct?
Part of that is part of it, and then, there has been a declining trend, enrollment in this area, and so we even I had a conversation with DEDCOG, and talking about the broadband, and bringing more broadband, internet, because there are several houses and neighborhoods in Jasper that do not have internet services. And we talked about the fact that, one of the guys brought up the fact that there's growth, we need to have growth, and I was like, well, he's in Salina, and when people in Dallas, the growth was supposed to go down to Houston, connect Dallas to Houston, but the growth for some odd reason went towards Oklahoma. That's why you have places like Frisco, Prosper, McKinney, all those places are booming. Well, I talk about our area in DEDCOG, where's the growth in this area? And that's the problem. So how do we increase the growth so that the demand for the internet becomes something, because that's the reason why they got more broadband out there in Salina, because the demand became that because more people were moving out there. But we have a declining student enrollment, so we have to work around those things. But again, that's part of the deal, so advertising and talk about some things. So we have probably better things to offer than all the other school districts around here, but it's just really making sure we do what we do well to make this, so hopefully we can stop the bleeding. I mean, we know what we can do athletically, but the question is, what can we do academically to put our students on the next plateau?
Because I guess the other thing what Ms. Horton said is that right now we're 1.4, I think 400,000 of that, so we're at 1 million in instruction. So if we're watching expenses, then that's where that money's gonna have to come from to cover the other.
The loss in revenue.
It's from the instruction side. So what, I mean, I guess in my business, if we start saying what are we gonna cut down, so what expenses are we watching?
Well, we're gonna have to look at the positions that we have, I mean, to see if there is anything that can be to reduce.
And right now, we got the nine long-term subs, so we're already, so that's gonna be a tough fight. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Gordon. Do we need to move to closed session? Anybody have any need? Do we have a motion to adjourn? All in favor, show of hands. We're adjourned.
You got things to sign.